Where is that thing?
Your entire life feels like one big test. You feel this overwhelming pressure to perform, and the stakes are high because every mistake threatens your sense of worth. It's like you're only allowed to exist when you do everything right. You prepare everything meticulously, not because you want to, but because you're terrified of making a mistake or letting someone down. You always feel this overwhelming sense of responsibility, like everything always depends on you. You constantly feel like you have to prove yourself, because deep down you feel like that just being you might not be good enough. Perfectionism. It's this relentless drive to meet extremely high standards, often unrealistic ones, in how you work, behave, and perform. What's wrong with having high standards, you might ask? Well, nothing. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. But perfectionism and ambition are two very distinct things. Perfectionists don't just aim high, they also judge their self-worth based on their ability to meet and strive for these often unattainable standards. They experience a variety of negative consequences, and they will continue to go for them, to strive for them, despite these high costs. Perfectionism is like climbing a ladder that extends every time you almost reach the top. No matter how hard you try, it never feels good enough. Because good enough doesn't exist in the dictionary of the perfectionist. You either succeed perfectly or you fail. When your sense of self-worth is tied to your achievements, you're not just chasing goals, you're chasing self-acceptance. And that is something that can never be earned through performance. After you've achieved something, you might feel good for a little while, but it never lasts. So you have to set a new goal, a bigger one and more impressive one. And this way, you keep climbing the never-ending ladder, not out of joy, but out of fear. Because deep down, you believe that you're not good enough the way that you are. So you're trying to fix this feeling by climbing higher and higher, hoping to outrun it. Not realizing you're just taking this feeling with you up on the ladder. Because that feeling was never at the base of the ladder, it's inside of you. You're human. You're messy. You say the wrong thing at the wrong time. You stumble over your words. You do something awkward, and that's okay. It's part of being human. It's more than okay, actually. It makes life fun. It gives it character. It makes it unpredictable, and it makes you, you. I used to think people would like me more if I was perfect. But the more perfect I tried to be, the less I liked myself. I was trying to be the perfect girlfriend, the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, and the perfect employee, and I had this image in my head of what that would look like. But in many ways, being that person meant hiding parts of myself, hiding my insecurities, pushing down my needs and emotions, so I would be more palatable and convenient for the people around me. I would over-prepare because I was so afraid to make a mistake. I would procrastinate or pass up on good opportunities because I thought I wasn't good enough. I was living my life like I had to prove my right to exist. And that came with an immense pressure because when life is a test and what you're trying to prove is your worth as a human being, everything you do carries the weight of your entire existence. Every one of us is living in our own video game. The moment you took your first breath was the first time you set foot in your own unique little world. And at first it was still full of possibilities, with very little rules and regulations. You were just acting on your needs and impulses, perfect the way you are. You were just playing the game freely, but over time you started to notice that some of your behavior upset your parents or the people around you. You started to notice that when you were sad, your mom would get worried and the look in her eyes would shift. Or if you drew outside the lines, your dad's face would show signs of disapproval. When you drop something, you get yelled at. And over time, these little experiences turned into rules. I have to be happy all the time, because otherwise I'll upset the people around me. I have to do everything perfect, or else people will be disappointed in me. I cannot make a mistake, because if I do, I'll be a burden to others. Very often, these rules helped us feel safe and loved when we were children. But hopefully, you can see that they're not absolute truths. Yet, we have carried them into our adult lives as if they are. The objective of our game when we were children was to be loved and accepted by our parents because we couldn't take care of ourselves yet. We needed them for our survival. So we would do whatever was necessary to keep them from leaving us to fend for ourselves. You can have the most mean and demanding parents, and yet a child will never come to the conclusion that their parents are wrong, because that is too dangerous. It will always come to the conclusion that there's something wrong with them. And that's not to say that you have to have had mean parents to develop perfectionism or other unhealthy patterns. Even the most loving parents can create these tendencies in their children. Almost all parents, no matter how loving and amazing they are, will mess up in a way, because none of us are perfect. So it's up to us as adults to recognize the unique ways in which our parents or our experiences have messed us up, so we can let go of the beliefs and unhelpful patterns that are the result of that. Because what happens if we don't? Well, you see it all around you. You may even recognize it in your own life. Many of us are playing a game that we despise, with rules that we once assumed were true, and that were maybe even necessary at one point, but haven't been for a long time. If you were playing an actual video game with rules so rigid and strict, they take all the joy out of playing. Rules so attainable, it's impossible to level up and feel the pride and fulfillment that comes with that. You would have thrown that game away long ago. You would have gone on a search for a new game, one that's challenging but attainable with the right amount of effort, one with rules that make the game fun and fulfilling. You'd still feel frustrated sometimes. You'd still feel disappointed when you fail right before leveling up. But it would be balanced out with the joy of moving forward, with the pride you feel of getting better, having new experiences, bonding with new players, and learning new skills. Yet when it comes to our lives, we keep playing a game that makes us miserable, unaware that we're the ones who have made up the rules, and that we're the ones who are reinforcing them. And of course, your environment, society, culture play a role. There are some rules that we're all expected to comply to. But I can assure you that most of the rules that you believe are enforced onto you and expected of you, you're actually just expecting of yourself. All fun and games, you might think, but if I stop upholding my rules, everything will just crumble down. If I stop being the perfect friend, the one that's always happy, always helpful and compliant, that never shares their own struggles or enforces a boundary, I just lose all my friendships. If I make a mistake and people see me fail, they'll lose all respect for me. They'll think, I knew she wasn't as good as she makes herself out to be. If I let down my mask of the person that has it all figured out, people will just think that I'm weak or too much, or they'll start seeing me as a burden. If I cry in front of my friends, share my insecurities or my doubts and struggles, my friends will stop wanting to hang out with me and I'll just become an inconvenience to them. Believe me, I know this feels real. It's how I used to feel. It's the concerns that almost all of my clients share with me before we start dissecting their lives and rewriting their rules. But what almost all of them find, including myself, is the opposite of what we expect. Once we take off the mask of perfection, we feel more proud of who we are and our achievements. We feel more loved, more accepted, more appreciated, more connected to the people around us. We might feel like perfection is what gets people to like us. But people don't like perfect. They like real. They like someone in who they can see themselves. Think about it for a sec. You might look up to the people that you see as perfect, but do you like to hang out with them? Do you feel comfortable to be vulnerable with them and share your struggles? Do you feel like you can be yourself with them? Do you feel close and connected to them? I'm guessing that the answer is no. We're all just trying to figure out this weird, unpredictable, and rather confusing game we've been dropped into without our consent. But the more you feel like the rules are fixed and enforced onto you, the more you'll resent playing. The more you feel like you have to prove your right to exist, the more drained and devoid of joy and fulfillment you will feel. But life isn't as serious and heavy as you might think, or as it might appear to you right now. There is nothing to earn and nothing to prove, only something to gain. Lessons to learn, experiences to uncover, mistakes to make, things to laugh about. Life isn't a competitive, high-stakes game where every one of your mistakes counts against you. The whole point is to evolve, explore, and tell a story worth living. The next time that you mess up, you forget your words in the middle of a big presentation, you burst into tears in front of all of your coworkers, or you say something painfully awkward in front of your crush. Try looking at yourself the same way you look at a small child trying its best to clean up a spill.
Uh-oh, I gotta clean that.
Only to smear it around even more.
Uh-oh, I built.
You wouldn't get mad at that child for trying. You wouldn't think any different of that child. You wouldn't tell it that it's dumb or stupid. You'd just smile lovingly at their failed attempts. You maybe even appreciate their efforts and give them the space to try for a bit before helping them to reflect on why it's not working and what they could try different the next time. Approach yourself with the same kindness and patience. Smile lovingly at your seriousness and your failed attempts to be perfect and keep it all together. You're this beautifully awkward and flawed human being with messy emotions and complicated needs, and you're just trying to figure it out like everyone else. None of us really know what we're doing. Some of us are just better at hiding it. And that belief that you have to be perfect, that was an illusion all along. So if the game you're playing doesn't bring you joy and fulfillment, maybe it's time to rewrite the rules and reconsider what winning even looks like for you.